Right, 12th August 2024, and as usual, I'm going to be giving you my update for today. This is a Monday, and it's a holiday in Zimbabwe. So most people have been traveling, and today we've got a very interesting story, and this is to do with the continuing factionalism within ZANU PF. There is massive factionalism taking place in ZANU PF, and the fight between the Chiwenga faction and the Mnangagwa faction is going to new levels. And this is at all levels of government, including the local chiefs. They're not affected by this factionalism that is taking place within ZANU PF. And what you're going to see is that within the next few months, this is going to come out in the open. There's going to be open fighting between Chiwenga and Mnangagwa as Chiwenga attempts to stamp his authority and take over. Because if Chiwenga does not move fast, now other factors are going to come into play and Chiwenga might even be taken out of the equation. So obviously, Chiwenga is making all the efforts that he can. And some of the things that Chiwenga has been doing is to sponsor the Zimbabwe National Army to build blocks of classrooms. And I showed you this last week, and that Chiwenga was also refurbishing classrooms around the country. So the work that Chiwenga is doing relates to him going to a school, putting computers, refurbishing the school, or building a new block altogether. And he has done this in Manicaland, in Midlands, and last week he has also done it in Manicaland. So this is a massive effort. And my understanding is that this is sponsored by quite a number of prominent business people who are lining up behind Chiwenga. So Chiwenga started building a team. So take this portion, very important. It's very, very important that Chiwenga is starting to build a team. And there are people who have already started working behind Chiwenga, providing the resources necessary for him to launch his campaign. So what is going to happen is Chiwenga will need to, first of all, create a foundation within ZANU PF before he then goes out and try to create a foundation within the community. And that community foundation will have to be done by people in the local areas. And these are people like chiefs. And today we've got a story from Manicaland, that is Nyanga. And in Nyanga, there is the wife of General Anselam Sanyatwe. So if you look on the picture that I'm displaying here, on the right, next to Keno Miniotabo, this picture was taken in 2022. This was the wedding of General Anselam Sanyatwe. And General Anselam Sanyatwe is a close ally of General Chiwenga. And these guys have now come under attack. You can clearly see that everyone who is close and associated with General Chiwenga is coming under attack. And Chido Sanyatwe is an MP for Nyanga North. She's also the Deputy Minister of Home Affairs and Cultural Heritage. So what happened last week is that on Thursday, she was opening a block of flats at Saunyama Primary School in Nyanga. And there is a fight over chieftainship in the constituency. And this is the Katerere chieftainship. The High Court has ruled that the current Chief Katerere must be removed and a new Chief Katerere must be put in place. However, Chido Sanyatwe here wants the original or the current Chief Katerere to stay. And she doesn't want the one that has been put by the, or the one that is supposed to be put in place by the High Court, or who has been ordered to be put in place by the High Court. So the current chief is called Alexio Chinongwa Nyamhute. He was demoted by the High Court, and she is in that ministry, so she should know that this guy was demoted. But the allegation is that on Thursday, she went on to recognize the demoted chief as the current chief because they say she wants to control the whole of Nyanga. And obviously, this is on behalf of her husband here, General Anselam Sanyatwe, and his close ally, General Chiwenga. So you can see Kuti, each faction is going out and trying to discredit the other faction and trying to stop the other faction from gaining an advantage. So the Chiwenga faction, which is officially coming in, there is another faction behind Mnangagwa that wants Mnangagwa to go to 2030, so that the people whom they want to take over get ready. They want these guys to get enough time to get ready. This is the whole idea of going to 2030, so that the guys who are supposed to get in get strength and they're able to push out Chiwenga, because they feel that right now Chiwenga is too strong. And if he is allowed to take over, he's going to decimate the Mnangagwa faction, especially everything that they've built. So there is a massive effort and fight between the two factions. One faction trying to stop Chiwenga, and Chiwenga immediately trying to go in immediately as it stands right now. And this is at a grassroots level. So the factionalism has moved from the top and is now at a level of the grassroots and local level. So you're going to see a lot happening at the grassroots and local level as people try to align themselves to one faction or another. This also goes to all government structures and all other government functions. You're going to see an attempt to align, one side trying to discredit the other, and the other side trying to go to show that they belong or they're stronger than the other faction. So this story is very important, and especially this block of flats that are being built. Chiwenga doing a national effort in building this, and also sponsoring the Zimbabwe National Army. This was done using the army resources. The guys from the army, they managed to complete these projects, whereas most of Mnangagwa's projects are not finishing. So let's keep watching. Let's see what happens with the factionalism between Mnangagwa and Chiwenga. Someone is going to come out on top, but the person who moves first is going to come out on top. The person who moves slowly is going to lose. So let's see who's going to move faster between Chiwenga and Mnangagwa. What a drama we're going to watch between these two guys, because Mnangagwa is not going to move out easily. And Chiwenga, he has been in the background. How is he going to be able to perform while in the forefront? So you can see, if you're in the background, you can use sabotage, you can use other methods. But when you're now in front, you now have to use certain approaches and want to see if Chiwenga is able to apply those approaches, if he's able to build a team, and if he's able to show that he's actually the man who's supposed to go into office next, especially building coalitions and working with the opposition. Those are going to be critical. His approach to dialogue and how he communicates the next steps for the new government which is going to form. So I want to end that here. I don't want to continue. This is going to be something we're going to carry for the next months. So you can almost see that now we're in August. I can assure you, for the next 2 years, we're going to be talking about Chiwenga. Chiwenga is going to be the guy we're going to be talking about on a daily basis. Now let's go to what has happened, or what is going to happen. What are the key events for today? At 8 a.m. today, at the National Heroes Acre, Mnangagwa is going to make or officiate on the Defense Forces Day and Heroes Day event. That is going to be the National Heroes Acre. 13 new national heroes have been declared who were posthumously. So Mnangagwa is going to officiate on that function. There's also going to be functions around the whole country at provincial heroes acres, where the ministers or the local ministers in each province is going to officiate. So let's see what Mnangagwa says. It's clear that there are massive problems in ZANU PF. How does Mnangagwa deal with a strong Chiwenga? That is what we want to see going forward. Then we've got a massive problem at Zimra. So I'm displaying here Regina Chinamasa. So at Zimra, there is massive fraud taking place, and massive fraud in the systems. And what these guys have done is they have not done audits at the Zimbabwe Revenue Authority, and employees are using loopholes in the systems to steal. And when they steal thousands and thousands. And this goes uninvestigated and undiscovered. In the latest incident, one of the employees, an accountant, has stolen $500,000. And this guy is called Tapua Chidemo. Right now, as we speak, this guy has been convicted on 2 counts out of 9 counts. So out of all the money that is received, only $500,000 can be accounted for. The other 7 counts were dropped because the Zimbabwe Revenue Authority has not conducted audits. And I just want to unpack why they're not conducting audits. The reason why the Zimbabwe Revenue Authority is not conducting audits is because if they conduct audits, what you're going to find is shocking. You're going to find out that very senior people in Zimra are involved in the theft that is taking place. And this is to do with the way that they log into their systems. So, for example, Tapua Chideme had a login ID. He was the only person who could log into that system. And when he logs in, it means no one else knows what is going on in the system. And when he steals money, no one can check because he's the only one who can log in. However, Tapua Chidemo claims that there are other people who could also log in there, and no one knows how much was stolen and why and who was logging on at any particular time. So massive corruption and theft at Zimra using the systems, and then lack of audits, making sure that this whole thing goes undiscovered. So let's see what happens. There are many people who are interested in this case. Let's see if they discover what exactly has been stolen and how much. And this is to do with the VAT refunds. The VAT refunds of Zimra is a mess, and there's a lot of theft taking place over there. And this is officially at Zimra, not by third parties. In South Africa, it's third parties who do it. This time, it's actually people inside the Zimra who are doing the stealing. Then let's go to the Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission. The Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission is one of the most disappointing organizations in Zimbabwe. So they've issued a statement here, and I'm going to put this statement on Gambakwe. This is to do with the current arrests, abductions, and violation of human rights. And they're talking only about the one on 9 August. They're not talking about all the people that have been arrested, people that are sitting in jail. They're saying nothing about it. You can go and check out this statement by the Zimbabwe Human Rights Association. The problem why the Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission, the problem why we have this is because ever since they appointed Jesse over there, nothing has been moving. Jesse has been sitting back and avoiding anything to do with criticizing Mnangagwa. And my understanding is that this is because she's related to Alexio Mnangagwa, probably a sister or something of that nature. That is my understanding, and I'm just giving it to you why a person who is appointed to oversee human rights would behave in such a crazy and erratic manner. Why would someone whose full-time job is to manage human rights not say anything on the day when things are happening? When people are taken off a plane, when people are arrested and they're kept in jail for months and months, she sits there and does nothing. And then suddenly, and out of the blue, she issues a statement and does nothing, because these guys have got powers to summon people. They've got powers to do certain things, which they're not doing. That is one of the reasons why the Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission is failing. Also, I've advised you here that when you write an email to the Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission, that email first goes to Mnangagwa's office. And I've proved it. All you have to do is send an email and put the wrong address but the right domain. When it kicks back and gives you an answer, you're going to see that the same server that Mnangagwa uses is the same server that is being used by most of the commissions. So the email, first of all, routes to Mnangagwa's office. So if I was someone, I wouldn't even write a letter to Jesse, because they're writing a letter to Mnangagwa. Imagine that, how crazy that situation is. Like you write to Jesse and say, "Good morning, Jesse," and you get a reply from Mnangagwa's office, because those guys are, they're a cartel. Now let's go to Binga. There is a by-election in Binga on the 5th of October. That is Ward 7. And what I would like to see here, the guy died, who was the councillor here. What I would want to see here is the Blue Movement or Chamisa starting to field candidates in these constituencies like Binga, because you can't lose ground here. So if they're going to use the CCC, then the CCC should field candidates here and do a proper campaign. So that is just a month or so from now, a month and a half or 6 weeks. This is going to be on. Okay, that is September, October. Yes, about 6 weeks time, you'll be able to contest here in Binga. So the CCC has been losing elections, and this should be stopped. We need to start seeing them winning the elections. But as I said, guys, dialogue is where we need to go. We're still working on a proposal for the dialogue. And I've started asking people to contribute to the document we're working on. So if you want to contribute to our 50-year strategy of the military-led development, you are welcome to WhatsApp me here, and you give us your email and work with you on developing the document. So we've got the framework now, and we want the framework to become bigger and bigger. First dialogue, transitional authority for 10 years. 2035, we start working on preparations for fresh elections. And 2040, a fresh election. But economic development in Zimbabwe is so slow. You cannot continue the way we are doing now and expect Zimbabwe to do well. So there's a need to create what we call a rapid economic development or industrialization strategy for 50 years, which is obviously going to be military-backed. There are many, many examples in the world where this has taken place. And the current guys who are there, and Mnangagwa, they won't be able to do it. Even the current military generals, they're not capable of doing it. So you need a massive change in the system and architecture of Zimbabwe to make sure that this happens. So very interesting ideas, and let's make sure that this happens. We need young people to contribute, but we can't continue on this same path which we've been taking over the past 20 years, especially the first 20 years were a bit better, but Zimbabwe is just now collapsing and going downhill with no direction at all. Now let's go to South Africa. There are two main stories in South Africa. The first one is that the South African Revenue Authority have started a process of charging VAT and customs duty to importers like Timu and Shell. So they're going to be charging, my belief is that is 25% flat fee and another 40% or something like that for customs for people who import goods from Timu. Timu has become a pandemic in South Africa. People are buying all sorts of things from Timu, including clothes and electronic gadgets, which has destroyed the local industry. So the South African Revenue Authority is going to be charging 25% import duty and VAT, so 45% in total, starting on the 1st of September. This is happening very, very quickly. And what has happened with imports is that the clothing industry has been destroyed. Yesterday, Truworths Zimbabwe announced that they are going under administration. The Truworths Zimbabwe includes companies like Topics, Truworths Men, and Truworths Women, I think. And these companies are manufacturing in Zimbabwe, but they can't contain the pressure from imports. So they're going under administration, although they will remain listed on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange. So you've got a massive problem with imports, but also in terms of quality, the Chinese quality is getting better and better of all their clothing. If you see, for example, I'm wearing an overcoat here. To buy this overcoat at Truworths will probably cost me 3,000. But if I go to a Chinese shop, it will cost me 400. Do you think someone is stupid enough to go and pay 2,000 for something that costs 500 elsewhere? That is why there's this big problem in terms of the clothing industry, basically. So Edgar's in Zimbabwe, Truworths, they import, they manufacture in Zimbabwe, mostly in Bulawayo. And this is what has caused these companies to go into all these sorts of financial issues. Then we've got the Zimbabweans who are appearing for gold. The guy that you're seeing in front here is the real man who owns the ID that is being used by the Zimbabweans and Mozambicans who are called Bethuel Ngobeni. So that guy is the real Bethuel Ngobeni. His ID was used by Zingai Liwayo, who is the Mozambican Zimbabwean guy who is implicated in gold smuggling, gold trading, and these guys bought a lot of assets under this guy's name, only to find out that this guy is got no knowledge of what was happening. He's just a guy who lives in Mpumalanga there. He lives on a grant of 350 rands a month. But under his name, there are millions of assets that have been bought by the Zimbabwean guys using a fake ID. And this has become a problem. Fake IDs in South Africa and fake identity theft is a massive problem. This week, the Home Affairs of South Africa has done an investigation after the Chidima Adicina situation. And they found out that 36,000 fake IDs and permits were issued during the period between 2004 and 2020. And out of those 36,000 fake IDs, there are 12,000 Nigerians who have been issued fake IDs in South Africa. There are also duplicate IDs floating around. That means you have exactly the same ID document with exactly the same ID number, but a different picture. So it's possible because these are paper-based. So when I'm moving around, I can be the same guy as you, but our pictures are different on the ID. And this is a massive problem that can be traced back to corruption at the Home Affairs Department. And this is going to be very difficult. If you dig deeper enough, you find out that it's so prevalent that half of the population in South Africa probably has got a connection to some fake ID of one form or another. So I think we've covered enough here for today. I'll be back here in the evening. Let's analyze what Mnangagwa is going to say. Mnangagwa is certainly in a very difficult position. No one wants to associate with Mnangagwa, and SADC is struggling to get people to attend their events. On the 13th and 14th, we're going to have the Ministers of Finance and Foreign Affairs. Well, let's see if they come. People are very unhappy with what Mnangagwa is doing with the arrest and incarceration of 120 opposition activists. So let's see what happens going forward. On the 15th, as I said, Mnangagwa is going to be addressing at the University of Zimbabwe. Let's see if everything goes without any incident. But I expect to see a lot happening. There's going to be a lot happening this week. This is a critical week, and by the end of it, we'll be talking about something very different. I now want to look at the comments. Janet says, don't use tested methodologies. This should be experts in this, not everyone such as experts in economics, politics, security, and administration. Yes. So let me explain to you what I'm proposing. A military-led economic development is normally implemented when you are at a point where the economy has stagnated and there's no future direction. So when we propose this approach, and let me give you what we are proposing, just at a high level. The Zimbabwe military is currently wasting time on press-ups and running and drinking beer and driving around with no direction. You saw what happened. They shot each other these past 2 days. What we need to do is to construct what is called an engineering corps. So you take 10,000 soldiers. So this is the actual proposal that I'm telling you now. You take 10,000 soldiers, you create what is called an engineering corps, CORPS. And then you take these guys and you create what is called a managed, a planned city. For example, you go to Binga, that is what I'm proposing. You go and create a city there, a totally new city with all the facilities of a city. So that is called a planned city. You go to a place like Victoria Falls, you create a planned city there. And then you create a foundation of tourism, which is connections between Victoria Falls, Bulawayo, Harare, and all the places around us. So remember, this is a 50-year strategy. You connect Zimbabwe to Johannesburg, Zimbabwe to Gaborone, Zimbabwe to Lusaka, Zimbabwe to Beira. You put a high-speed train over there. There is no way you can have development, all these things I'm telling you about. The European countries are only developing because of speed of travel. So if someone lands at the Zimbabwe, at Harare International Airport, they should be able to be in Victoria Falls within 3 hours. But they should also be able to go to Bulawayo. They should be able to go to Hwange quickly. And at the moment, it takes days for you to move around. And if someone is in Beira, they should be able to travel to Harare within 3 hours and to Johannesburg within 5 hours. So you create this system where people are able to move around very quickly. And you have a tourism-based economy. At the moment, the reason why our tourism is not working is too slow to move around, it's too expensive to move, and the facilities are not there. So there are no hotels. If you put this in a strategy, which is backed by the military guys are then able to do the planning. There is a city called Songdo in South Korea. You can go check it out. It was planned and built with no one in it. And they did this with 10,000 architects and engineers. So if you're talking of rapid development, you have to think differently. You can't continue with the way that ZANU PF are doing. And then obviously you place a high-speed railway system in Harare. What is stopping Mnangagwa from planning and putting in place a high-speed railway system in Harare, or a metro rail, which can move around every 30 minutes or every hour? You have a train moving from Harare to Rua to Tungwiza, and then to Norton, and then you go all the way down to Sumatown, just around Anakadoma, Kwekwe. Those are the 1-hour trips which can easily put around. You need a system, and you can do that with a private-public partnership. Very easy stuff to do, but without all those plans being led from an engineering corps, which is stopping the soldiers from spending my days on press-ups. This is the kind of thing that you can do. And when I say spending the days on press-ups, I'm not joking. All the soldiers do these days is they leave home, they go to the barrack, they march, they sing songs, they do press-ups. That's a waste of an opportunity. And I think I've seen quite a number of proposals of military-backed development, economic development, including a thesis or a research that has been done already on these kind of things. So let's see whether this works out. But this all starts with a dialogue. And the purpose of a dialogue, political dialogue, firstly, is to get Mnangagwa to step down. Mnangagwa has to step down because he's the problem. And then you go for the transitional period. And what I would prefer myself as part of the transitional period is a situation where we put Chamisa as the president. That would be my proposal, because there's no capital that is going to come in Zimbabwe with the current guys in office. However, you would then have to have more ZANU PF people on the lower structure. So the VP level, you can give Mnangagwa both the vice presidents and Chiwenga, they take over those VP positions. And then you have a separate side of government, which is run by some sort of committee, a development committee, and homecoming. Remember, I always talk about homecoming. All these people that are outside Zimbabwe, 5 million Zimbabweans, you get them to come back into these planned cities that are going to put around Zimbabwe. That is the only way you can have rapid development in Zimbabwe. You fix the payment systems, you privatize the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe. It's so easy to fix this country, but not with the approach that Mnangagwa are using right now. If Mnangagwa builds a road, one road, he's going to go to town and tell everyone that he's built a road. If he builds a statue, he's going to call YouTubers from all over the world to come and show a statue. But that won't work. You need a bigger vision. And Mnangagwa's vision is currently too small. So the only way and the proposed way is obviously focus on that dialogue. It has to move fast. let everyone agree, and let's have a period of between 10 to 15 years of transition. But the economic strategy must be at least 50 years. And the only people who can be on a 50-year strategy are the military. The question is the Zimbabwe military capable of a 50-year strategy? Because what it means, if you're going to have a 50-year strategy, it means you have to change the top structure of the army. And I'm not just talking about the army, I'm also talking about intelligence. You're talking about military intelligence, normal intelligence, all these guys who are in those structures. They're currently focused on the wrong thing. Because you know, if I ask you how many people are focused on YouTube and Facebook in the Zimbabwe intelligence, you find out that counterintelligence, there are more than 200 whose only job is to log into Facebook and find out what is Gambakwe published, what is Chafuta published. That's not a job. So that is a waste of resources. And that is because Mnangagwa's thinking cannot change. The way he started during the war, that is what they've taken and translated to this modern day. Zimbabwe is currently operating like people in the bush who are still fighting war in the bush. You need a different approach going forward. And the first step is dialogue, political dialogue. Let's take away all these suspicions among the people, work together nationally, and disagree on other things, but not on the economy. The economy of Zimbabwe is easy to fix. It's the easiest economy that you can ever fix altogether. I think I've given you too much of an answer there. Let's look at other comments. Gambakwe, can I have a number? I have important issues to discuss with you. Yes, you can have my number. My number is public, but don't record me and then go and edit what we're discussing. So we mpana we don't point what creative. I asked mpana you could stop sending one to record my conversations. If you want me to come on your channel, I'll come and have an interview with you. You don't have to record me because I'm publishing 2 times a day. Why can't I come to talk to you for 5 minutes? And then let's go to lost data. I'm reloading. I'm going to translate data. Whatever happened to Starlink? I don't know what happened, guys. Whatever you say, homecoming, my heart becomes pure. Gambakwe Media. Yes, let's work on homecoming and plan the cities. And I'm telling you guys about Songdo. So let me type it for you here. This is my favorite city in the world. It is a planned city of 3 million people. There is no one in the city, right? You can go check it out. The South Koreans have done this. It's not a military project, it's a PPP. But if you drive into a city with skyscrapers, hotels, restaurants, everything's already put in place, apartments, that is what you need for Zimbabwe. And homecoming, so that when your guy comes, they just come and live in a properly sorted out country. I want to see if there's anything else. Nelson, you support me. Thank you very much. So, guys, let's get this done. We're going to prepare a document and present it to Anachamisa and Mnangagwa. So the document we're preparing is not theoretical. We're going to go and present a dialogue document to Mnangagwa and to Chamisa. Those are the only 2 people that are supposed to be in this thing. And we're also going to start the process of approaching the mediators. And you will say, why are you guys doing it? We're allowed to do anything. There's no one who can't do anything. If you want to do it right now, you can also do it. But we need to all come together and agree that the whole country has to go to dialogue. In Nina, I don't support a protest in Harare. I've already told you guys. The guys who are organizing a protest in Harare, they're jokes. They're joking. Okay, I don't want to call them jokes. Because when I went to Zambia, some of those guys were there. They came to Lusaka. And then they were scared to come to Mlungushi where I was. I'm not lying to you. They were literally, they drove for days and came to Lusaka. And then when they arrived in Lusaka, they were scared. They were going to be catched. Can you believe that? So they went to Lusaka somewhere and they spent the whole day driving around. And Nina was at Mlungushi, surrounded by tens of CIOs. And lucky for me, the Zambians had to put intelligence there so that They don't touch me. But this is the kind of thing I'm talking. If you're scared of in Lusaka, of being caged in Lusaka, imagine in Harare. No one is going to come out among those guys. Don't waste people's time, and don't encourage people to confront Mnangagwa if you are scared yourself. What I want is, if you say I'm going to protest, let's say a job scholar, right? If you say I'm going to protest, you must go out on that day and bring enough people so that the police are paralyzed. They're not able to do anything. Don't come by yourself with 2 or 3 people. If you are going to organize a demonstration and you're going to give notice, make sure that it's serious. It's not a joke. So the only way we should proceed is to bring people on the table. We give an Chamisa a framework, we give Mnangagwa a framework, and we say, guys, let's find a mediator who is acceptable. We move on to dialogue, and we have our country working and going in the right direction. It doesn't mean we agree with Mnangagwa. We must criticize Mnangagwa, we must fight Mnangagwa, but at the same time, we need to have a country that works, and that only starts with the dialogue. And then Mkoma could have said, Gambakwe, you're going to Zimbabwe. What has changed? I'm still going to Zimbabwe today. I've got the non-state actors meeting today. Mkoma Kuda. I'm flying. It takes 1 hour from here to Zimbabwe. And you'll see me again back here in the evening. Everything will be fine. There's no problem. Right. I want to thank all of you. I tend to talk too much and forget that I have got my instructor who is supposed to work out with me in 5 minutes. So I'm going to go and do my workout now. Please WhatsApp me here. Let's work on the framework for dialogue. We are going to kickstart it, me and you. The document is already on like 10 pages, and the guys are already working on it right now. And it's not a private document, it's public. So you give us your Gmail address, we'll give you access, and you go in there and also contribute, put your comments, and make sure we work on the document. Within a week or 2, we're going to give it to Chamisa, we're going to give it to Mnangagwa to say, guys, here's the framework for dialogue. What do you think? Then the military-led development, 50-year strategy. That one will take a lot of work, but it's also part of that document. And I want you guys to work on it. Give us proposals. How do we make our country function? How do we make our country work? Because it's only the young people that can make it work, that can make it Zimbabwe great again. Then Mkoma Dumi says, not that people won't just come home where there's no medication banks. Yes, that is what we call a planned city, Mkoma Dumi. And I want you to contact me so that we can all get together on this. There's no reason why you guys are sitting in South Africa. Most of you are sitting in South Africa, UK. You're just like the people doing press-ups. You wake up to look for bread and you go home. And we ask you, what have you achieved in a month? Nothing. So let's work, make our country work. Zimbabwe can be like Singapore. If you've ever Googled Singapore and you're driving in Singapore, you can see this is development. At the moment, Zimbabwe is just everything, everywhere you look is dust. We need to change that. Mnangagwa has totally failed to transform our country. I'd like to thank all of you for watching, and I'll be back here tonight at 9:10 every evening. 9:10 we broadcast, and I hope that by that time I'll be back. Thank you very much for watching, and a good day.